Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Fuego Del Sol. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of stuff coming up for WrestleMania weekend. He's been having some crazy matches as of lately, guys with Zack Sabre Jr., and then dealing with the Cogar brothers as of late. You've been appearing lately a lot more in GCW and wrestling guys like Jack Cartwheel and even Zack Sabre Jr., like I just mentioned. What is it like stepping in the ring with some of these guys?
It's been great. I feel like, I've said this in the past, but just to clarify on it a little bit, I never had a big independent run before I got signed to AEW. I think so many people that did originally get signed to AEW were guys that honed their craft on the indies, that gained the respect of like this audience that respected, the independent grind. And so when I left AEW, I knew I wanted to get to GCW. And 2024 is when I really locked in. I got to wrestle at least once a month, almost, it felt like, for Game Changer Wrestling, if not more. And I feel like I become a staple there, and people not only know me there but respect me there. I slowly earned the respect by wrestling their top guys and some of the best guys on the independent scene. So many people have went on from GCW to get signed or to do big things, and then they also bring in legends and different things of that nature. So it's just an environment where I feel like I thrive in and that I want to be a part of. And so to get to wrestle, guys like WWID Jack Cartwheel, or TNA's now Mance Warner, or Ring of Honor and AEW's Blake Christian, and New Japan's Zack Sabre Jr. Just the list goes on and on of guys that are at the top of their game, and that's where I want to be, at the top of the game. And I have to get in there with the best in the world and show that I can not only compete but I can beat them.
I respect that, man. I've been following GCW for a couple years and seeing the progress, like a lot of the guys that have come in and where they're at now in their careers, and seeing you're grinding, you're working for everything you're doing right now, and seeing you pop up more in GCW, and then you're wrestling all these guys. It's cool to see. And lately, you've been getting into it with the Cogar brothers, mainly Atticus. You In the past couple weeks, you've taken skewers and also the first ever light tube for the first time. How did that come about? Like what was your how do I say this? How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, the Coker brothers are some sick bastards. I'm gonna just put it to you that they're like masochistic in a way. They enjoy this deathmatch type violence that just not my style, to be honest. However, things have gotten personal very quickly between me and Atticus and the Coker brothers, and so you almost learn to expect the unexpected with those two. And so, like, taking a bundle of light tubes to the back for the first time did not feel great. Taking skewers into my forehead while I was, temporarily blinded because my mask was pulled up above my eyes, that sucked too. So it's like there was. However, what I learned is I'm one tough bastard because it really didn't phase me. Both times I was like, oh, is this it? Is this all? That's it? That doesn't hurt as bad as I expected it to hurt. I'll rip these skewers out and I'll beat your ass. Or I'll take I'll wipe the blood and the glass off of my back, and then I'll beat your ass. So that's how I was feeling overall. It's not something I'm gonna lean into. I don't claim to be a deathmatch guy, nor is that the style that I prefer to wrestle in. However, I'm not gonna be opposed that if it comes down to it, and you have skewers or light tubes, nearby, and you want to use them on me, I will turn around and give you a taste of your own medicine.
So speaking about WrestleMania week, you said you have 6 matches within a couple days span. Can you
Yes.
talk to us about a few of those matches you got coming up?
Yeah, it's crazy. So Wednesday night, I wrestle Danny Limelight, who is,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
former AEW. He's also the FSW, Future Stars of Wrestling champion. And I'm going to be wrestling him for his title for a company called Colorado Wrestling Connection, CWC. They're running in the FSW arena, which is right there in Vegas, the home, one of the major spots. WWID is running the tournament also in the FSW arena. There's a lot of indies running that area, as well as GCW running the collective in a different building. I'm doing a lot of matches over there in that building, and the first night is the Wednesday night match against Danny Limelight. Now, me and Danny have wrestled once before on AEW Dark, and he did beat me right before he got signed. So I feel like I need to get one back on him without a doubt. So then Thursday we got 3 matches. Two of them are like
Jeez.
back to back, right? So
Oh God.
both of them at noon, 12
Oh my
o'clock.
Lord.
Okay, so I am in a 6-man tag match at Pandemonium Pro Wrestling. They're a LA based company. I wrestled for them in Los Angeles multiple times. It's
Okay.
me, teaming with Alan Angels, my old law crew buddy, as well as former WWE superstar Duke Hudson, who was in Chase U.
Yeah,
And we'll be
okay.
wrestling three of, the West Coast's finest. But then as soon as that match is over, me and Alan Angels will jump in a car together and drive over to Big Time Wrestling, also a California-based promotion, and we will wrestle each other in a fatal four-way match with
Oh my
multiple
gosh.
guys. So, literally, we're gonna have to go from planning and teaming together to then having to beat each other up.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
which I told him, hey, let's just work together. Let's just beat people up in the four-way, and then when it comes down to me and you, we do that. But then I'll have a few hours break. Because then at 7 o'clock that on Thursday evening, I'll be wrestling Darian Bingston, who is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. He trained at the Nightmare Factory for Pride Style Fights. It's a charity event as well. Effie will also be on that show. There's a few great indie talents on that show. So I'll be wrestling Darian Bingston in Pride Style later that night at 7 o'clock. And then Friday is the big day. So first, for a Texas-based Laredo company, Texas Wrestling Cartel at 1:30, I want to say I'll be wrestling a great luchador named Brillante. He is phenomenal. He is, up and coming. He is so athletic. So I'll test my lucha abilities against him early in the day. And then the big one, the last one, number 6, Friday night, the first ever time I'll get to debut for Joey Janela's Spring Break, the biggest independent show of the weekend. It'll be me versus Atticus Cogar. He puts his GCW career on the line, and I put my mask on the line.
Oh man.
So GCW career versus mask is probably the biggest match of my career. It's must win. There is no losing this, and I gotta drive this guy out of GCW forever. And I'm sure I'm almost preparing for the most violent, insane type match. And I'm not gonna call it a death match because I refuse to wrestle in a death match unless I'm getting paid a heavy amount of money. But I know he's gonna have tricks and up his sleeve, so we'll see what happens that day.
You're wrestling a lot for WrestleMania weekend. I'm assuming there's a couple of other guys that are gonna be putting in their time for that weekend. What motivates you to want to just get a lot of matches done in just a quick in a few day period? What motivates you to do that?
Well, besides the money part of it, I think it's because I am a sick bastard. I think I just love pro wrestling so much, and I love testing myself and pushing myself so much. And you see this over the years. You've seen guys like Speedball, Mike Bailey, or years ago, Ethan Page, or all of these guys wrestle 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a 4-day span, and you're almost jealous of it. Like, man, I want to be in that. I want to be so in demand that people want me on every single show. And there's a egotistical side of it, just to stroke my own ego, I want to wrestle that many times. There's a financial motivation to it. And then there's just the love of the game, the passion that I have for pro wrestling, that I want to test myself in that time period and, go and steal the weekend.
It's awesome. I respect guys like you and like Speedball Mike Bailey. I've seen him wrestle like so many times in one weekend. He's got to be one of the biggest grinders out there. But I always respect guys who want to do so many matches, and it's wear and tear on your body. But I mean, you're fighting through it, and I'm pretty sure you're beat up the next day, and you're like screw it, I'm gonna do it again and again.
Running on caffeine and a prayer. That's what I'm going to be doing for those 4 days for
Like
sure.
I respect that. I want to ask you a question, and I want to see if you know this because I Googled it. It's just a little silly question. Do you know how many career matches you've been in without,
So I know, but I also know that the number that you have is wrong. So Cage
probably
Match is the main, hub where everyone goes to see. I'm sure they got me on there like close to 600, or like between 4 and 600. I'm sure is where they place me at. But but really for the first 2 years of my career, there was a bunch of Southern promotions that nobody, would go and report to Cage Match. And then there's a
right.
bunch of like smaller Oklahoma promotions that don't promote the Cage Match that I wrestle at all the time. So I'm pushing. I think I need to get the exact number. Let's see. I know I got every match I've ever had written down, excluding battle royals because they don't really count. And then I have the main number. I want to say at least all up until last year. I haven't went through this year yet and wrote. I'm only 3 months, 4 months in at this point. Let me just do a little bit of math here. Yeah, so in my 11-year career, if
Wow.
we're averaging around, yeah, I would say we're averaging around at least 50 matches a year,
Okay.
at least.
Wow. That's like roughly
Except for
once
those
a week.
first 2 years, except because I in my first 2 years I was wrestling. I was wrestling only during the off season. I played college soccer, so
Oh,
during the
okay.
season I would not wrestle. And then so it was really only half year. So those first 2 years really only count for 1 year because I think in my first year I had 17 matches, and my second year I had 32 matches. And
Okay.
so then the numbers started picking up. 2017 59 matches, 2018 54, 2019 67 in 1 year. Then in 2020 the pandemic hit, so I really only did AEW Dark, which was 27 matches. 2021 though picked right back up, 71 matches in 2021.
Gee,
2022 I got as the year I was really signed to AEW, so was more selective with my independent dates. So I only wrestled 51 matches in 2022. 2023, I broke my foot, so I only had half the year. So I had
yeah,
34 matches. And then last year, 2024, was the most ever in a year. It was 85 matches.
man.
And so I probably already wrestled how many this year? I mean, give me 1 second. Yeah, I want to just I like though. I like this that you have a number as well. Give me 1 second.
No, I'm always curious, man. Some people might lose track, and some people like, what, I keep up, and so I'm always curious of little things like that.
So I've wrestled 25 matches so far this year. So
Okay.
we're only 4 months in. So if you do it by quarter, you're looking at a close to 100 matches this year as well.
Damn. And
So
you
what's the
got
number? What's the number on Cage Match? Tell me that.
412.
Yeah, that's way off. I'm past 600 easily.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because I always go on there just to like see things, and maybe like if I've ever missed anything on anyone, it's a nice source to use. I know it's not 100% accurate because it doesn't include someone's entire career. It is also nice to have just to kind of go back on.
Yeah, what are they? There's a bunch of like things wrong on there because like so early on in my career, I started in Alabama and Florida, and then I moved to Oklahoma for college. And then this guy put me in like this Oklahoma database where he's like, okay, where are you from? Da da da. And some of this was just kayfabe answers of like, oh, this, and this, and like, and so then Cage Match took from that database in Oklahoma and put a bunch of stuff in, and they're off by a lot. But I've
Damn.
went back. I was about 2.5 years, 3 years into my career, and I went back and I was like, I'm going to write every match I've ever had down, and so
Oh
that's what I've
wow.
done, and so I can make sure I know exactly how many I've had.
But that's cool. At least you keep in track. That's very interesting. I don't want to keep on talking about WrestleMania weekend too much, but what is after WrestleMania weekend, after this big match you got coming up? What are your goals for or GCW, or even to further your career, or what is your next step after?
I'm usually very goal oriented, and at the beginning of this year, I set a few goals for myself. I said I want to win GCW Gold first and foremost. I want to go to Japan and wrestle in Japan. I want to put on 20 pounds this year.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm up. I'm up like 8 pounds right now. I want to get signed to a television company again by the end of the year. But I also have a lot of life goals. And so wrestling right now is conflicting with my life goals. I got a lot of real life stuff going on with family, and I really want to buy a house. And so unsteady income is not a way to do that. So I've been having
Right.
to juggle what desires I have the most. And I really wanted to do a lot of these goals by WrestleMania weekend. And so I really haven't looked much past it. Unfortunately, in GCW, I ran into this giant roadblock named Atticus Cogar. And so he stopped me from achieving the GCW gold part. However, GCW did just announce 3 shows in Japan in the summer. And I'm not, announced for these that we haven't talked about me going over there, but it's a possibility that that could happen. But I've been so locked in on real life more than wrestling that I haven't really planned past WrestleMania
Okay.
week. And the closer it gets, the more I realize that's kind of crazy. But those are like goals I set for myself for this year, and like I'm trying to hit them no matter what as fast as possible. But right now, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't. All I've focused on is those 6 matches WrestleMania weekend right now.
No, I've been seeing the growth from you for this past year. So you've been wrestling in GCW a lot. You've been getting big opportunities, and I believe it's just going to keep on going up. And I like to see. because I'm big into wrestling. I always like to see it when guys get a well-deserved opportunity. What is one match if you were to tell someone who has never seen a Fuego match before, what is one match you would tell someone to go watch?
I tell them to go watch two specific matches. If it depends if they're wrestling fans or not. If they're not wrestling fans, I tell them to go watch Fuego versus Miro 1.
Okay.
And at the
Oh
first
wait.
ever Rampage where I get signed and like I attack him from the beginning. I feel like it's
Yeah, I
like
remember that.
the
Okay.
epitome of me like trying to win. Like you could see the emotion on my face throughout the match and then after the match when I get signed. And then I'd also tell them to go watch me versus QT Marshall on AEW Dark when I hit the Tornado DDT for the first time. I feel like you could feel the emotion from the crowd, and not and the crowd at that time was all just independent and signed AEW wrestlers. So it was like it was almost 3 a.m. in the morning. We had filmed
Oh my
40
God.
dark matches. Me and QT had both already wrestled one time, but we had been building this match on Sammy's vlog for months. And we had been teasing me eventually hitting the Tornado DDT, which I've never hit, but everybody was claiming it was the most dangerous move in wrestling. And then in that match, I jump off and I hit him with the Tornado DDT so big that the momentum took him out of the ring. Like the place went nuts when the commentators, and I wasn't even signed at the time. So it felt like a culmination of like 3, 4, 5 months of me grinding, trying to not only get this match, but to earn the respect of guys in AEW. And it was really cool. And so it changed the perspective in a lot of people's eyes of both me and QT Marshall in the back. Like Tony Khan looked at us both differently after that match because of how hard we worked. But if they are a wrestling fan and they only knew me from my AEW work, I tell him to go watch me versus Zack Sabre Jr. that just happened earlier this year because I feel like it's the epitome of, hey, this kid is got something to prove and he's not going to stop until he proves it.
And that was on a card change, right? You
Yes,
didn't.
unfortunately, Drew Parker got hurt last minute. So I was supposed to wrestle Starboy Charlie, and I was preparing for that. And literally an hour before the doors open, they tell me, hey, you're wrestling the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion now instead. And I'm like, what? And so like my mind was racing, and I was trying to prepare
I
myself
think everyone
for the
was like
match.
surprised, like in a good way. It's like, what
Yes,
the
I
heck,
think so many people were sad at first, and then they were like, "Holy shit, what a replacement!" Because like the match delivered on so many levels. I feel like it was he was testing me in a way of like and almost overlooking me, and I slowly proved myself throughout the match to the audience and to Zack Sabre Jr., which was something I'm very proud of.
Now, is there someone you feel like you haven't worked with yet, but you would like to, and you would feel like you guys would have something similar like you and Zack Sabre Jr. had?
Zach is harder to judge off of because he's so well established. I don't think anybody in the building thought that Fuego del Sol was going to win that match. And so it was my job to make them believe that I could. And so that's a different dynamic to whereas like if I'm wrestling someone who I feel like is at my level or so good, it's close to my level, it's more up in the air of who's going to win. Whereas when you're wrestling, like I one of my favorite wrestlers of all time is Bryan Danielson, and I would love to wrestle
Oh,
him
wow.
before he calls it a career. I know he's like semi-retired now, but I mess with him all the time. We're still good friends. Now, you're not quitting until I wrestle you. I'm just letting you know this right now.
Oh man,
And
that's
so
cool.
I need to wrestle him, and I think it'll be similar, right? He's gonna want to prove to, hey, come on, kid, you're not on my level. I'm gonna kick your effing head in, and I want to be like, no, 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 I am. And so like that's one I would love to get. And then there's like top independent guys, or someone who's no longer independent, in Speedball Mike Bailey that I just want to test myself against. I think he's one of the best in the world, and I just want to get in there and prove myself against the best. And I feel like that's the great part about GCW is that I've been able to mix it up with hardcore guys. I've been able to mix it up with promo guys. I've been able to mix it up with technical wrestling guys. I've been able to mix it up with high flyers. And I've been able to show that no matter where we're at in the United States, no matter where I'm at on the card, no matter who my opponent is, I can steal the show. I can be one of the best matches on the night. I'm gonna get cheered over whatever star you got coming in. They're gonna chant Fuego's name. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, dude, I love that. I literally love what you just said. It's awesome. One last question. What is one thing you're thankful for and why?
I don't know if I can narrow it down to one thing.
Give me a few things. Give me a few things.
Okay. Okay. So, first and foremost, pro wrestling. That it has been my dad is a giant wrestling fan. So, it's my earliest memories is Stone Cold Steve Austin and like Shawn Michaels and like DX and Like I've loved wrestling all my life, and it's been a distraction in hard times and in bad times. And then I started backyard wrestling when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, and like then started filming it, and like that became a an escape for me to get away from the real life stresses, especially because I had some really tough stuff going on in my teenage years that maybe a teen shouldn't be privy to. And so wrestling has always been cathartic for me. It's like therapy. And I think then when becoming a full-time pro wrestling and having something to look forward to and having motivation every day to wake up and want to be a better professional wrestler is so great. And like to have something to always be able to consume my thoughts, no matter if I'm driving or I'm in the shower or I'm doing anything, like, and to still get the goosebumps when something great in wrestling happens, when a massive return happens, or when Cody wins the title at Mania, or when like to still get the rush of being a wrestling fan is so vital to my DNA as a human being that I could not fathom doing anything else or being obsessed with anything else like I am a professional wrestler. I don't want to just say family because I have friends that are just as close as family. So I would say people that care and love me, I am so grateful for. Like, you have to have a great support system in life. You have to have people to lean on. You have to have people that can make you laugh in dark times. You have to have people that love being around you just as much as you love being around them. And I am blessed with that. I have three amazing kids that I'm blessed with. I have so many best friends and a beautiful wife, and just so many things, people that truly make up who I am as a person that I'm very, very thankful for. And then lastly, I would definitely say my health is like so tremendous. Like breaking my foot was one of the most mentally exhausting things I've ever been through in my life because I'd never broke a bone in my body until 27 years old. So it was like difficult for me to realize, hey, I gotta sit down in the shower. I gotta use crutches to go everywhere. I need people to help me out. I didn't like it. I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. And they say a healthy man wants 1,000 things, whereas an unhealthy man only wants one. He just wants to be healthy. And so that's how I felt. And so it made me much more grateful for my health and to not take it for granted and to be more cautious about things that could lead to injury. So, family and friends, my health, and professional wrestling is what I would say. That's what the thing I'm the most grateful for.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time, though, man. I know you're gonna kill it next weekend, right? Yeah, next weekend as of now. You got a bunch of big matches coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next after. I know you and Atticus are probably gonna have a crazy match. I can just predict it. I can see the future now. Thank you for your time, man. I can't wait to see. I'm
Hey,
excited.
thank you for the fun questions, man. I'm glad we got to knock this
Exactly.
out and do this.
Yes, 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 sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
You as well, man. Be safe.